meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the May 9th, 2023 regularly scheduled Port Clinton City Council meeting in the Linda Hartlove Chambers. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, the Lord's Prayer, and a moment of silence for those serving.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Father, who art in heaven,
Hallowed be thy name.
thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Okay, thank you. You may be seated. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Beth Gilman.
Here.
Margaret Phillips. Here. Richard Morgan.
Here.
Kelly Gangle.
Here.
Pat Hovis. Here. Jerry Trolley.
Present.
Kathy King.
Here. Thank you. Council, you previously received the April 25, 2023 regular meeting minutes. For a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Madam President, I move to accept these minutes as presented.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mr. Troy. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mrs. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Troy, to accept the April 25th, 2023 regular meeting minutes. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. The chair notes that certification has been made regarding the compliance for the rules and notifications of this meeting. We have no guest presentation, no public comments. On to executive officers' reports. Council, this evening you have second reading of ordinance 11-23, 12-23, 13-23, 14-23, and 15-23. 12-23, 13-23, and 14-23, and 15-23 were all presented to the Finance Committee and they discussed those this evening. The administration has asked that they be passed on its second reading due to the time-sensitive nature. And when we get to that point, if anyone has questions, we can discuss it then. And actually, that's all of this weekend. If anyone knows if there's a walk for Back to Blue for to kick off Police Week, registration is online. If anyone's interested, it starts registration at 7 a.m. and then the race starts at 8. If anyone's interested in doing that. That is all I have this evening. Mayor Schneider.
Thank you, Madam President. Good evening, members of council. I hope everybody had a wonderful day. It's beautiful outside. Just a quick update on our 4th of July fundraising efforts. We are less than $1,000 from our goal. A couple of really good fundraisers this past month. Would also like to point out that the A La Carte Cafe, who was one of the participating restaurants, actually A La Carte Cafe and A La Carte After Hours, have both agreed to continue the Coins for Kabooms campaign. So if you go into those establishments, tell your server, hey, round up, they'll take your bill, round it up to the next dollar if you're paying cash, and those funds will continue to go into that kitty. If anyone is interested in making a donation to get us over that hump or closer to that hump, you can write a check made payable to the Port Clinton Chamber of Commerce Foundation, 110 Madison Street, Port Clinton, with the memo fireworks to get us to where we need to be. Again, been doing this for a couple months now, but just a reminder, city ordinances prohibit living room lawns, grass holes, mowing the grass into the lawn. It is required that you register your garage sale at City Hall, and we're getting to that time of year where we're starting to see grass grow a foot an hour. Just a reminder to everyone that we do have an ordinance on the books. I've had several calls that have been passed along about high grass weed notices. Just so you all are aware, and those listening in the World Wide Web, we will address those as soon as we can. It probably will not be before Memorial Day weekend just because of staffing issues and all the other stuff that needs to be done between now and then, but they will be addressed at an appropriate time. I'd like to personally recognize and thank Mr. Holman, who's in attendance tonight as our tree commissioner. There was a wonderful Arbor Day ceremony on Friday, April 28th. It was cold, it was a little wet, but it was very, very good. I think everyone had a good time, and I love the addition of the trivia with the scouts. That was a good. So thank you, Mr. Holman.
May I speak?
Sure.
I signed the attendance to speak. I'd just like to thank the administration and the council, the people that attended and worked at this Arbor Day to make it a success. Also today, Mr. Demakis, Mr. Trolley, and myself went to Waseon, Ohio to receive our 34th annual Tree City USA Award. Thank you for it was an honor. It's neat. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Council, as you all know, Memorial Day weekend is the unofficial start of summer with the Walleye Festival kicking off. Mr. Colston, Police Chief, I almost said Hickman, Police Chief Scott, Fire Chief Ken Johnson, and I attended a meeting with Main Street, the organization that puts that on. Everything seems to be a go. If anyone should ask, the rides will not be here for a second weekend. They have a second gig. There was some possibility that they could stay around like they did in past years, but once the festival's over, they'll pack up and go to their next gig. The fire department is in the process of marking all of the graves of former firefighters in both of our cemeteries with flags. Put the word out. They have what they believe to be a complete list dating back to 1870, but there may always be one or two out there that were overlooked. Records in the early years weren't the best. If anyone approaches you, or if you have a family member that was a firefighter that does not have a flag at their gravesite, please contact the fire chief at 419-734-3430. Do not call 911. Again, 419-734-3430, and we'll make sure, or the chief will make sure that information or that flag gets placed there. On those same lines, spring cleanup. When growing up, the Snyder household, the spring was always the time to pack up, clean up, and throw away stuff. If you have any old linens, primarily bath towels, washcloths, hand towels, no matter the condition, the fire department will take those. They're used in the rehab after a fire. When it's 900 degrees outside and you walk into an 800-degree fire, you come out, you're pretty hot and sweaty, dip that rag in a cold bucket of water, put it over your head. It helps. Mr. Trolley can attest to that.
Old big time.
Yes, so if you have any old rags, towels, please drop them off at the fire station, or again, give Chief Johnson a call and he'll swing by and pick those up. Again, do not call 911, please. If you haven't driven in the 100 block of Adams Street, and I sent a text message out with a video earlier today to council members, the home at 115 Adams was raised. The house on the corner of Adams and Perry that has been under renovations for the past couple of years, the folks that own that bought the house immediately behind it and raised that a year or so ago. Well, the one behind that was also raised earlier today. Not sure what their plans are, but they're doing something
Magical.
big and beautiful. Yes, magical, as I believe the term was used. Folks, earlier today, our tax commissioner, Michelle Bryant, held a conference here in City Hall, actually in the conference room next door, for tax commissioners from Northwest Ohio, big cities, small towns. There are about 10 in attendance. Not sure what they talked about, but tax commissioner discussions are always lively and energetic, I'm sure. But that was kind of neat that a conference of that stature was held here in the city of Port Clinton. A reminder, next Monday, the 15th of May, Madison Street, in the former Mon District, now called The District, Madison Street will be blocked off. Preparations are underway to put up the stage, the picnic tables, road barricades, all that other fun stuff. And on those same lines, as part of the requirement for MORA, the Main Street organization held a meeting in downtown at Wolfie's to discuss one of the requirements of the MORA, which was having a regular meeting of all MORA participants. I would say there were 30 people in attendance, 35 people in attendance, and several things were discussed. There was actually a conference call with the head of the Ohio Department of Liquor Control. There have been some changes in state law as we come out of COVID. Some of the relaxed restrictions or relaxed things related to alcohol sales are falling by the wayside. On Thursday, 2 representatives from that department will be in town meeting with anyone that holds a liquor license in the downtown area to talk about those, see what can happen. So if you see some changes to some of the outdoor points of sale for the bars, that's what that's all in relationship to. On a relatively related note, Mr. Tiroli a few months ago sent a request to me, which then I forwarded on to the Main Street organization. Council, you have the right to object to any liquor license renewal. I believe that happens at the first part of June. For years, as long as I've been around, you've always relied on the police chief to provide records of any issues. And to my knowledge, no one has ever objected, and the licenses are renewed and so forth. Now that we have a district and the Mora and a lot of positive activity downtown, the onus behind Mr. Tiroli's request was to ask that Main Street do an evaluation, an audit of those holding liquor permits, the D5Ls, which are the Special Revitalization District licenses, to see if everyone is in compliance. Well, before that could happen, all of these changes happened. Ohio Department of Liquor Control reached out to the city of Port Clinton through Main Street, and they are doing just that. They'll be, speaking with those that have outdoor bars, speaking with those that may or may not meet the requirements of food sales. So all of that stuff is in the works, just as a point of note as we work through this process. The Division of Liquor Control that they're working with is not necessarily the hammer in this scenario. They're the ones that will work with the established to make sure that everyone is in compliance. There's another entity that would come in to talk about underage sales, over-serving, and all the other laws and penalties that may. So what the folks that are coming in on Thursday, I want to emphasize, are those that are going to be working with the liquor license holders to make sure that they're in compliance, so there are no issues down the line. A few weeks ago, Council, you approved an agreement with an organization that will come in and offer beach and kayak services along the shoreline in the area of the lighthouse and the Lake Erie Love Sign. For your edification, for your knowledge, the week of June 5th, Kurt Fleming, who's the owner of that establishment, will be putting up the container that will hold all those things. So if you see that in and around the high ground area down at Waterworks Park, that's what that's in reference to. Likewise, the week of June 5th, the city will be preparing with the help of First Energy for Mayfly season. I don't want to say that too loud. We use the swag method, and if you don't know what the swag method is, ask me later, to determine when is the best day to turn off those lights. We need to give First Energy a 2-week head start so they can get it in their schedule. We may be off by a couple of days, we may be off by a week, meaning we may have the lights turned off and there's no bugs, or there may be bugs and we don't have the lights on. We had to take a guess at what date to use. We looked at what we did last year and said, hey, that sounds good. So just be aware of that. Another date to note, June 14th, which is a Wednesday, the Special Olympics Torch Run will be coming through Ottawa County and specifically the city of Port Clinton. They'll take boats over to the islands, do their thing over there, bring boats back around 4:30, do a small run in Waterworks Park, and then there's a picnic planned at the district, formerly known as MOM, at about 5 o'clock for those participants and their families. If you get an opportunity to stop by, it's a neat event. Update on FLIP, the Forward-Looking Infrastructure Project. It was 1,489 days ago that Mr. Martin, myself, and some folks from Pogelmeyer met in the old conference room to start this discussion. And I keep saying this, but it is the truth. We are closer today of putting a shovel in the ground than we have ever been. Again, I don't want to say hold up because they're being very generous with their dollars. The hold up at this point is the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Again, they're the ones underwriting the whole project. This coming Friday, Mr. Colston is going to be traveling to Bowling Green to meet with the representatives from USDA. Mr. Bilo and I will be on a conference call to get a little bit better understanding. Again, these two and others have been sending USDA tons and tons and tons of information, and I can't thank them enough for what they've done. I assure you we are much, much closer today than we were 2 weeks ago when I said we were close.
Just don't give us a date.
we're hoping, knock wood, that that's one of the things that comes out of this discussion on Friday, but I'll keep everyone posted. And finally, sorry, I was waiting for the applause. And finally, 2 days ago was my granddaughter Layla's 8th birthday, so I'd just like to wish Layla happy 8th birthday.
Happy birthday.
Now, on that same topic, does anyone in here have a birthday? It seems like every time we have a city council meeting, I read on Facebook, it's so-and-so's birthday the next day. We missed his birthday the last council meeting. We missed yours the day, but you don't,
That's mine.
anybody have a birthday in the next 2 weeks?
Mine is May 25th, so if you want to start sending gifts or anything like that, perfectly fine to get them early. I'm
Well,
just kidding.
happy early birthday. With that, Madam President, unless there's any other questions, that concludes my report for this evening.
I'm good.
Wow.
I'm tired, that's why.
Okay, thank you. Move on to the auditor's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Council before you is a distributed copy of the financial report from April 2023. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have on the fly, or feel free to contact me after. I'll just call out 3 funds that are in particularly good shape as of the end of April. We hope it continues. Obviously, the general fund is doing well. It had a higher cash balance at the end of the month than a year ago, so I'm happy with that. Sewer fund is doing remarkably well. Expenditures are down, revenue is up. And infrastructure improvement fund, which fortunately only goes up to build up a bank for financing of the infrastructure project, road, water, and sewer portions, is particularly healthy, and hope that continues. That is all, Madam President. I'll have to take any questions.
Mr. Beal,
Yes, sir.
the American Rescue Plan, it's not moving. Can we invest that at all to make some money on that, or
I don't
is that?
think that that's an eligible expenditure of those funds, but I can double check.
We don't make a little money on what we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. We'll move on to the treasurer's report.
Yes, as of yesterday, or today, excuse me, our bed tax collected so far year-to-date is $24,561.90, and our dock tax collected for the same period, $11,323.57. Any questions? That's all I have.
Anyone in council have any questions for the treasurer?
Yes, how are we doing compared to last year? Is that about on?
Yes, yeah, the bed tax, we might be a little bit behind last year, but the season's starting off a little slower, it seems to me, but we're right where we need to be.
Good. Thank you.
Mr. Trolley, that information is found in table 1, page 2 of the report that I provided.
Okay, thank you. I'll check that out. Thank you. I just wanted to hear it from the person.
Thank you, Mr.
Just
Beal.
writing this up.
Okay.
I didn't have a chance to read it.
We'll move on to the law director's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a public service announcement. We constantly have people posting on the talk of whatever, complaints about the city or complaints about what the city's not doing or just issues. If you see one of those complaints on there, if you feel that you cannot refrain, can you please just direct the person to contact the city? It just makes it easier because that way it's not put on anyone's shoulders. Because what happens is people start bickering back and forth about an issue. And really, unless somebody from the city actually sees that issue, they're not going to know about it. They're just going to know about people bickering about it. So if anyone is listening, if you have a concern, please contact the city and address the concern to the city directly. We will put you in touch with who you need to speak with and how to get the problem resolved. If you feel that you are being drug into a conversation, I know unfortunately some of our council members are getting picked on, just refer to the city. Just say, please contact the city, give the general phone number, and just say, please contact the city, make your report to the city. That way we can just stay out of the nonsense that takes place on social media and give them a direct contact to address their issues too. And that's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions?
I have a
And,
question too.
and also the problem report is on the city website. You can send them that link as well. I've sent people that multiple times. They can self-report. It's a very good tool that goes right into, Tracy gets that, Sandy gets that. Somebody gets that, but it's easy to do and it's, they can report all day if they wanted to. It's faster to report on there than it is to post on Facebook. It's a
Absolutely.
good tool.
Okay, I have a question. I saw a new kind of mowing done today, and it is mowed from the sidewalk to the curb to fit what we have, but from the sidewalk to the house, not mowed. Is that in violation?
You're talking about the boulevard is mowed, but not the house.
No, from the sidewalk to the house is not mowed, but from the sidewalk to the curb is.
We do have an ordinance which states about high grass, so, you know, you can call and report the violation, but yes, it's their property, so they would need to follow our ordinance, which, what is it?
Did their mower break down? or-
So the grass cannot be over 6 inches. If, for example, it's a situation like that, you might give them the benefit of the doubt thinking, did their mower break down or did something happen?
No, they don't mow all the time anyway, and they have been told to mow, and I'm just wondering if this is how they're avoiding
No, you
mowing
can't.
the rest, because they're not around, it's 2 properties, and they have moved part of their stuff into the other property, because those people are home.
Well, if you file a problem report with the city, we can go ahead and Mr. Poston can take a look at it, the police can take a look at it, Ms. Ostheimer can take a look at it, whoever the proper grass person is can go ahead, and Ms. Ostheimer has volunteered to put herself out there for everyone to know.
Part of the 95%.
That she does handle 95% of the complaints, so please contact her and just let her, give her the address, and then usually what happens is a picture is taken, then the city proceeds with that.
Okay, thank you.
Never seen one. Okay. Move on to supervisors' reports. Mr. Goldston.
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Bates here from the Solid Waste District, so I'm going to ask that ordinance 1123, if you could pass tonight. And if you have any questions on that, you're welcome to ask him when that comes up on the agenda tonight, please. Let me give you that, and thank you for coming. I appreciate it, Gary, for coming to do that. I want to get a lot of calls now about electric aggregation. So I went out to Palmer Energy, who does ours for the city and everything. So I just want to read you what she sent me today, okay? Electric aggregation is in place in the city of Port Clinton as well as the townships in Ottawa County. The current rate is fixed at 0.0481. This ends December 2023. A new rate will come out in October for the next contract. Edison's rates will go substantially higher in June. Call Energy Harbor at 866-636-3749 to enroll in the electric aggregation. If you're already in the aggregation, you will receive the opt-out letter for the next one that will begin in December and make a decision to stay or opt out.
Give us that number again, Mr.
Yes,
Olson.
I can. 866-636-3749. So if any of you get calls on this subject, that's the answer that I would give them. That's the answer that Sandy and I will give out of City Hall. So some people are already in it, some may not be, but if you're in it, obviously you're going to get a letter to opt out. If you're not in it, you may want to get in it, and then you still get that letter later on to opt out. So just want to pass that information on.
Thank you.
Go ahead and say it.
It'll also, I'm sorry, it will be also posted on Facebook.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
For those of us who, what exactly is electric aggregation?
Aggregation.
Aggregate, you know what I mean.
Aggregation, they make a rate, they do a rate for you through the county so you can get a cheaper rate. And so Edison doesn't care if you do that either, but just so you know, you have the option, and they go out and they formally go out for bids and they pick the lowest one, and that's who you can call to get your rates to that number if you so choose.
Rather than the guys who knock on my front door or call me and say,
Like, there's the number that I would use, and that's the only one I would personally use if I was in your shoes. I'm not telling you how to do your business, but either you stay where you're at, or that's the aggregation that the county has put in place. So that's the number you would want.
on our bills, does it say who that provider is? And how would this be listed, as electric aggregation, or? I mean, there's a million countries we can go, companies we can go to.
Sure, you're welcome to do whatever you want. But the county has an aggregation that got the best price at the time, and that's who you're supposed to call to be in the
What I'm
aggregation.
asking is, how do I know if I'm in that?
Look on your bill is what I was
That's,
told.
okay, that's what, and what will it be listed as?
Okay, you'll see Ohio Edison on top,
Mhm.
and then below that, if you're in an aggregation, because I looked on my personal, even for Erie County, it'll say if you're with an aggregation, mine's D-Energy. And so I don't need to do anything, I'm already with them. If I wasn't, then I would want to call that 800 number and then go with them. If not, and you were with some other company that you contracted with, that you don't recall doing, but you did, you would have to go with that company and contact them to see how you get out of that contract if their rate is higher than what the county provides you.
On my bill, what will this particular fund be listed as, or what will it be
It'll-
called?
I don't know what it's called, there's the county, Ottawa County,
Okay.
but it'll say that you have a separate provider. You're getting billed by Ohio Edison no matter what.
Right,
It'll say Ohio Edison and they're charged about that.
right.
Then the actual provider underneath that. If there's no another provider underneath it, you don't have an aggregation on it.
Mine does have someone, I know that, I can't remember who it is. And so it's, I don't know if it's that one. Okay.
And I would call the number and ask them, because they're anticipating rates are gonna double for Ohio Edison is what I'm hearing. Is that what you guys are?
It's 12 point something,
Yeah.
where this one is 0.04.
Yeah, and I think that's the cheap, I looked up Pico like last week, and I think that is probably the cheapest rate. Like, you know, I think it's cheaper than what I saw on the Pico site.
So you'll have that on the city's Facebook, we can share it
What he read
Right.
off is what I'm going to put in
with the
there.
phone numbers. Thank you.
Specific.
Yes, I just wanted to pass that
Yeah,
on,
thank
and it
you.
will be on our website, so
Much appreciated.
we're pushing that out there so that customers know what's going on.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
That's all I have, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Colson. We'll move on to committee reports. Finance, Ms. Silvas.
As you stated earlier, we met tonight and discussed ordinances 1223 to 1523, which were asked to be passed tonight.
Thank you. Environment and Public Works, Mr. Trolley.
Yes, Madam President, tonight's committee meeting has been canceled.
Thank you. Safety Services, Mrs. Phillips.
Thank you, Madam President. We have nothing this evening.
Okay. Economic and Community Development, Mrs. Gilman.
Nothing to Madam President.
Thank you. Move on to correspondence.
Madam President, I move that the financial report for April 30th from the auditor be put down in the correspondence.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Trolley to add the financial report for April 30th, 2023 under correspondence. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign? Okay. The financial reports included in correspondence. Does council wish to take any further action as to the correspondence this evening?
Madam President, I move that the correspondence be accepted as the financial report is now on.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Ms. Phillips, seconded by Mr. Trolley to approve the correspondence as stated. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same sign. The correspondence are approved. Thank you. We'll move on to readings of ordinances and resolutions. We have no third readings. We'll move on to second readings. Will the clerk please read by title and summary on ordinance 11-23.
Ordinance number 11-23, an ordinance adopting the solid waste management plan for the Ottawa, Sandusky, Seneca Joint Solid Waste Management District and declaring an emergency.
Thank you. Does council wish to take any action as to ordinance 11-23?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
make a motion that we waive the 3 required readings for ordinance 11-23.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
Thank you, Ms. Gill. Any discussion? I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Gilman, to waive the 3 required readings as to ordinance 11-23. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Kelly Gangle? Yes. Jerry Trolley?
Yes.
Kathy King?
Yes.
Beth Gilman?
Yes.
Richard Morgan?
Yep.
Margaret Phillips?
Yes.
Pat Hovis?
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. The required readings are hereby waived. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 11-23?
Madam President,
Mr. Trolley.
make a motion to retain the emergency clause in ordinance 11-23.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I second.
Thank you, Mrs. Gilman. Any discussion? Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Trolley, seconded by Mrs. Gilman to retain the emergency clause as to ordinance 11-23. The clerk, please call the roll.
Pat Hogus.
Yes.
Beth Gilman.
Yes.
Kelly Gagel.
Yes.
Margaret Phillips.
Yes.
Richard Morgan.
Yes.
Kathy King.
Yes.
Jerry Trolley.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries by a vote of 7-0. The emergency clause is hereby retained as to ordinance 11-23. Does council wish to take any further action as to ordinance 11-23?
Madam President, before I make a motion, could we hear from the representative, please?
Madam President, Council, thank you for having me, even though Nick, you may not have invited me. It's okay, I get that a lot. My name is Gary Beatty, I'm the Director of OSS Solid Waste and Recycling. This plan that's before you, that I know everyone has read all 374 pages of. Twice. It goes over our plan every 15 years. Ohio EPA asks us to write a new plan for the 3 counties for our recycling and solid waste management. And then every 5th year of those 15 years, you get to tweak it and play with. So every 5 years, we're asking you to vote on this essentially. Within that, many of our programs, you have one of our programs about 100 yards from this podium right here in the parking lot. The recycle bins that are out at the townships, one here in the parking lot. That's kind of our big one that everybody gets a lot of visibility on. Also, we do our special collections. This past weekend, we were out at the county fairgrounds, and there was a TV electronics. We also do household hazardous waste, tires, appliances. We do education, not only for civic and adult education, but K through 5. You've probably seen billboards that look like they were written by children, really talented children, but children. We try to hire them, but I think they're too young for our digital team. But that's our billboard that all 5th graders across the 3 counties, each county competes, and there's a winner. There's 3 winners from each county, so 9 total. And then not only that school gets recognized with a miniature Lamar billboard trophy, but their actual design goes up on a billboard, and mom and dad are. That's honestly one of my favorite things, is to go out and see mom and dad and the 5th grader underneath a billboard that they creatively came up with. They're not allowed to use trademark information, anything like that. So this is truly just what their brains come up with. It's one of my favorite things that we do. We also do Adopt a Road within the 3 counties, and